Thank you so much for a beautiful welcome, a nice introduction, really beautiful, super beautiful. It is such a joy to be here. And like Father, I don't feel alone. With all these beautiful women. Sorry, Father. But it is a joy to be with you. You know, I can't help but think that when you see so many women, I think like, if we had the chance, we'd be talking about hair, about shoes, clothes. That's what we talk about. Our children. So when we are here, I'm like, Well, anyway, today I'm so grateful that you gave me a chance to share my story, to speak about forgiveness, something that was a huge obstacle for me, especially during the time of the genocide. I knew before you can forgive, but you forgive somebody who says something bad about you. I was a student before the genocide. And I will forgive somebody who took my pen away, who took my book, but not somebody who is trying to kill my parents. I really thought to be a hero would be to revenge my parents until I went through that terrible experience. I'm really here to tell you, it is by the grace of God that I'm standing here. It is by the grace of God I was able to even go there to understand that forgiveness was possible. And I'm also here to tell you, no matter what you go through, no matter how bad the situation is or can be, forgiveness is possible in every situation. You might not be there, but when the time comes, it will surprise you too. And all I remember was I needed to be willing just to ask God, you said forgive one another. I am willing, but how? Help me. The humility to step ahead and say, help me, it was all I needed. And I can still remember when I was holding on, when I thought I had a good reason to be angry. And I can still think about it today. That was a good reason. They're looking for me. They have not even apologized. They're looking for my whole family. But when forgiveness came in, it felt like freedom. It felt so beautiful, a treasure that I knew it was actually strength. It was a gift. It was peace. It was something I wish I can tell everybody. There to go there. I still remember actually a moment when I was in the bathroom and I asked God, I wish I can tell people that you are actually capable of this, of changing a heart. Just because I ask you, help me, sincerely. God, anytime I travel and I speak to people, I feel like God does listen to prayers. He does definitely answer them. And as you can see, the genocide was terrible. Like every suffering, hey, we are women, and many of you have children. So suffering is a part of life, especially our life, you know, small or big, but we all do suffer. But suffering teaches us so many lessons. It humbles us. And the genocide was the same for me. It taught me a lot, and one of them being forgiveness. Just to live free, knowing that I would be happy. I'm not holding on myself like I don't want to open my heart to this person. If they hurt me, I will run to God. And I would ask God to give me the grace to let it go. It really is a freedom. It was a gift. Another big lesson, actually I would say grace, was just to understand the power and the simplicity of the greatest commandment, to love God above, but to love one another. If you look at all these damages that happened to us in Rwanda during the genocide, it's because we failed to love one another. And when I mean another, it means everybody. It means the baby in the womb, in a way that we give that baby the freedom to be and to love one another as people. If we went through that terrible thing, it's because we failed to love. And today, if you see how families are breaking, how much pain that results out of divorce, It's because somebody have felt to love one another. And with that, I think, only answer. Only me, if me and you can make a decision. I'm not going to wait for others to love. I'm just going to start acting, speaking, thinking out of love is the answer. And only me, I can make that decision for myself. And it's a decision we all have to make. I used to work at the United Nations. And like any office, as you know, people fight for promotions. And sometimes, we are a humanitarian office. And we will sit in offices and we will talk how this should never be again. Then we go back to the office. We are fighting for a promotion. People are hiding each other information. I'm like, but I just thought we said never again. I just thought we said we should help people, humanity to be at peace. And if we can't have it in the office, how can we tell anybody? It have to come from here. So it was just like, as real as this. I mean, sometimes we'll go to meetings and then we end up just speak from my heart. And they would kind of mock me, like, this is not Mother Teresa office. We are in the United Nations, but we are humanitarian. Like, just stop confusing me. What are we supposed to do? It is really have to take each one of us. But that office became a blessing and a way to where I am today to share my story. I remember people crying was not something that was welcome in the office. When you cried, you were weak. And the people would close their offices and cry because you can't help it. It's human. It's actually, to me, what a gift that we can able to let go through tears. Our pain, our suffering. What a gift God gave, especially as women, to be able to relieve our pain in that way. So whenever somebody was crying, I would go to the office. I really thought my only job on earth is to try to care for somebody. These memos and these offices, these meetings, spend so much money, they don't fulfill me. And coming from what I just came through, so I would go through these offices and asking people, why are you crying? Sometimes it will be somebody going through divorce, somebody whose mom is just found out they have cancer. I mean, all these terrible things, and you're not allowed to show that. So we end up staying there, talk about what I went through, how God actually came through in my own ordeal. These are the people, without fail, who will end up cleaning their tears and say, you went through that, and you are still here, and you're still smiling, you okay? So mine is nothing. And somehow it will give that relief, even if it is a terrible story, but somehow people will find the relief. It was those people who told me, write a book. You're not supposed to be here. Write a book. I want to take your story to my mom. I want to take your story to my dad who can't wake up, who can't write a book. And I used to laugh at them. I'm like, I'm not a writer. People who write books are born writers. So I'm not a writer. I can't even speak good English. Well, finally, I realized that, hey, the God who protected me in the bathroom can help me to write a book and can help to correct my English. And he did, and he did it. And I did listen to them. It through that simple, tiny act of love. Let me hear. Why am I writing this when somebody's crying in the office? Why am I sitting when somebody's in pain? Let me console them. And it is through that God blessed me to be able to be where I am, to be able to write. Love is everything. I saw that through the genocide, and it is really, if it's anything, it's everything. That was so good to see, and not to be confused, because when the world mocks you, that you love, you weak, you this, we kind of want to toughen up, want to say bad words too, so that people can hear that we're tough. Don't do it. Just be simple, just love, because that is the strength. Another big lesson was, again, like, it's a grace, but it was also a lesson to know without a shadow of doubt that God is real. You know what a treasure we have? To know that God is real, and you can own that and say, I know for sure. And that is by faith. If you see any miracle that have happened to you, any question you have asked God, and you saw him answering, hold on to the belief and be sure that you believe in God. I still remember in the bathroom when I had to go back through the Credo, Apostle Creed, just to say, wait a minute. I always say this, but I don't think I ever meant it fully until now. I believe in God, Father Almighty. And that alone just brought tears in my eyes. I believe in God. I will still repeat that just because all of a sudden it became real. To know that we have God who is almighty, that you are never alone, it's a gift, it's a treasure to have. It's priceless. And that was something that became clear when I was going through the genocide. To know that there's hope in every situation, no matter how much bad things can be, it's a treasure to have. To know that you don't have to have that connection so that in case you have a problem, they can help you, but you have God, you can say the truth, and God will protect you. You know how beautiful that is? We are so blessed to be called Christians. We are blessed to be Catholic. We are I feel very blessed to be Catholic as my religion that have grown me up, taught me about Jesus, taught me about the love of Our Lady, taught me about God the Father. So there were so many lessons, and I'm so grateful to God for those lessons. And I've been traveling around the world to hear people who tell me, your story have touched me. It is like a little flower God sent me just to encourage me. Keep going. I am here. I don't speak to God. I never had apparitions, but I can feel sometimes, especially when I look back, that was you. I remember somebody who told me, and that is really my prayer for you. A lady, she told me, after I heard you speak, I was angry with my mom, with her mother, for 20 years. She said, after I blow up, she hid the door and she never looked back. She said, after I heard you speak, I went home and I called my mom and we cried and laughed. And it was over just like that. And she came to look for me and after speaking, she said, to think how much affection I wasted from my own mother out of anger. And how much affection she prevented from her own from her children to receive from their grandmother. She said, and it was over. If only I have done early, if I have forgiven much earlier. Another man I remember also who really touched my heart. He came through for me at one speaking, and he told me, after I heard you speak and I read your book, for the first time in 54 years, I was able to sleep in peace. He couldn't share what happened to him, but he said something have happened, and I have held on to this anger for 54 years until I was able to let it go and ask God willingly, help me. And it was over. And exactly as he felt, as I felt, I was able to sleep in peace. And that's it. That's what forgiveness is about, to find that peace. So my prayer is that the grace of God that touched me, that the grace of God will also touch you. That however, whatever difficulties you are enduring, whatever story you're going through, that God touches you as he did to me. You can't tell another person, you have to forgive. It is really what comes from within, but it is possible. So coming back to my story, the genocide happened in 1994. I was a student in college, and I came home for Easter holiday. I mean, when I think about everything, it's almost like God was putting dots together for me to remember, and he helped me to really keep this memory. So a month before the genocide, this is not something I share many times, a month before the genocide, my father, my dad, and my mom, they were teachers, loved people. So they called me from school to come home. And normally, they love school. They wanted us to be in school all the time, to study, to succeed. But we were in a boarding school by this time, all four of us. So they asked me to come through a letter, and they gave me a weekend. That means I was going to miss out 2 days in school. I wrote to them like, you know I'm in school. They said, yeah, we know, but you have to come home. So I went home. So what have happened is somebody told my mom that I was in a party and I was wearing a mini skirt. And she wanted me home to make sure you never do that again. And mini skirt meant like a little bit above the knee, like around the knees. But I went anyway because you don't disrespect the kind parents we had. So I just went home. But I'm just a little bit mad that they asked me to come out of school. For 3 days, I was home. My dad was an angel. Every day he would come from work, 5 o'clock, I think he left early, and we sit in the living room. We didn't have TV, we didn't have, we didn't have phones, computer, so we had to talk. So we would have dinner, and we talk. He would ask me which prayer group I belong to in school. I told him how we are praying, what happened, what do. We do 3 retreats, we do the rosary, we do this. Oh, it's like, oh, nice. So the apparitions of Our Lady were happening in Kibeho, which was not far from my college. So he would ask me, did you go there? I'm like, yes, I did, but Dad, it was amazing. What Our Lady said. So we talk about Our Lady in the rosary, my prayer group, for 3 days. So my mom is not happy because she wanted him to scorn me. I remember on the last day, I was about to go next day. We talked until like 10 o'clock at night. My mom went to sleep. So it was Dad who would be more correcting, and she knew I would be scared to ever do against my dad. So she came from the room. Then she talked to him. She was like, you took the kid from school. She misses classes to talk to her, not to do what I heard she's doing. Now all you're doing is to do the way of the cross and the rosary and the kibeo. What is going on? My dad is like, hey, I will talk to her. Don't worry. My mom went back to sleep. In 1 hour, we still had with my dad. He told me, he said, look, some people told your mom that you were wearing a mini skirt. And you know your mom loves you, and she doesn't like you to have, bad reputation and to be any bad sign in any way. I'm like, I know, but Dad, I promised wasn't so short. It's like, well, no, do not defend yourself when your mom corrects you. So you don't defend yourself, you just see it from her perspective. If she thinks it's short, you have to hear that. Okay, Dad. And then he said, all these 3 days, I've been talking to you about God, about Our Lady, about your prayer life. I wanted to feel and to hear where you stand with God. He said, I will not be here all my life. I cannot be there for you every second, watching you and correcting you, giving you advice. You are now young adults. And he said, as long as you have Our Lady close to you, as I can feel, as long as you're saying your rosary, as long that you're going to Mass as many times as you can during the week, not just Sunday, as long as you belong to a prayer group, you are in her hands, I'm fine. You do what you want. She will talk to you too. She's your mother, and Jesus is talking to you too. He's your father. That, I cannot tell you how strong that was. It is in their hands. I cannot watch you every second, but they are there. You will not believe it was a month before everything happened, and they were not there anymore. Anytime I think about it today, I'm like, God, did you want just to remind me that now you're going to be my dad and Mary is going to be my mom? But what advice that a father can give a daughter, which I think for all of us, we need to get our children close to Jesus and to Our Lady. And just say, as long as you are in your hands, I'm okay, I'm at peace. If you do wrong, they will correct you too. And remember, they're watching every moment. I can't be there. We can only be this much. So I think that was, of course, God put together. The next morning, I went back to school, but I never forgot it. Just to know that Our Lady and Jesus were watching me, and they were there. And whatever I did, I needed to make sure that they were prouder, more than the parents who are 100 miles away from me. So a month later, I tried again. I asked my parents, since I came home, how can I stay in school? Because this is now Easter holiday. They sent the letter, no, you come home. We miss you too. You go to school, but you belong to us. When we have a chance to see you, we need to take advantage of that. Thank God for, again, that invitation. And I remind my children the value of also obedient to our parents, really obedient to God's commandments. I mean, of course, we have to see the light inside, but we have to respect our parents. And that God blesses us through that. And I went home. 900 students who stayed at school that week, everybody was killed 2 weeks later. And again, like, God, you can't see ahead of you, but God knows. And the only thing can guide us is really the love of God, which will lead us to respect his commandments, and the love of each other, so that we can follow love. And then God can save us through that. Otherwise, what do we know? What do we know of tomorrow? I thought I was going to stay in school and be a better student, and actually study harder so I can pass the exam. And look what was waiting for me. And in my eyes, that was the right thing to do. So anyway, I went home a little bit mad. If you have teenagers, you know how it goes. But respectful. And I went home. I never forgot the day it all started. It was on Wednesday. My brother, who have just finished his master's degree, had actually been recruited to be a teacher in a seminary. He was so excited. He used to tell us, my life is about to start. But when I think about it now, yes, his life was about to start, because he died a month later. That morning, he came to me, and I remember he had a jacket, he had a stick in his hand, and he told me, he said, you're still sleeping. You don't know what happened. I'm like, what happened? Tell me quickly. He said, the president of the country died last night. Somehow, it was like a movie went through my mind. I knew it was going to be bad. They were going to kill us. In my country, we had two main tribes, Tutsi and Hutu. People loved each other. But of course, when there is government and talks on radio, some people take advantage, start to look at each other different. But really, my best friend to this day was from the other tribe. So there was like not bad, terrible between people. But somehow the government, to protect their power, they made these two tribes fight each other. It had become like political parties. I remember there was a private radio where journalists would pretend to be drunk so they can insult our tribe. They would say things like, oh, give me scotch, give me whiskey. One day we'll kill them. They're not humans. They have tails, they have horns, and they will laugh. That was all created to literally spread hatred, because people are not hating each other enough. But it was for the power, so that they would be able to eliminate them, they will never share the power. So it has started. And another thing that prepared us, the good God you pray, he's everywhere. In the politics, everywhere. Politics is what? It's human beings who suffer through that. And we need to pray for our politicians. We need to pray for every situation and let God be everywhere. God, our Father, have sent Our Lady, the Blessed Mother, 12 years before the genocide, to remind us to come back to God, to not just, oh, I'm a Christian, to practice God's commandments, to forgive one another, to hurry to love one another. And she said, if this doesn't happen, if you don't come back to respect God, this is what is going to happen. To love one another, This is what is happening. She showed the kids who saw her, people killing each other with machetes. Sometimes she would tell her, take this message to the president of the country. And many times people said, this cannot happen. Our Lady doesn't talk about politics. She doesn't send a message to the politicians. Later we find out, actually she was trying to tell them to remove the problem that was causing troubles. We had about 1 million refugees outside of the country. Rwandans, they chase away. And they will not be accepted anywhere else in another country. And Our Lady was saying, bring them back. And that time, the politicians were saying, well, we don't have enough food to give them, but they are the children of this country. They belong here, bring them. And they didn't listen. And that was actually the beginning of the whole war, because those refugees who were chased away could not come back. They forced their way to come in. And Our Lady was trying to protect. And another thing, more beautiful than the whole genocide, the love our mother showed through her apparition is maybe to me the most beautiful of the whole message. Her motherhood. You know, she appeared to these 3 children so far approved by the Vatican, which is a huge blessing because it was the first apparition that was approved by the Vatican in Africa. So we are very blessed to have that. So 3 girls have been approved. I wrote about this, Our Lady of Kibeho, and we knew about this trouble that are coming, but the love she showed them. In Rwanda, when a mother goes to visit her children, you don't stay 5 minutes, 10 minutes. That's our culture. You don't stay even 1 hour. They will think you're mad at the children. So you go like 5 hours, a whole day, sometimes 2 days, because you have to teach them how to cook, and you have to make sure the daughter is doing the good job to be wife. If you go to visit them in their family, show them how to take care of their own children. That's the mother. So when Our Lady came, she would stay like 5, 6 hours. Or one day she stayed 8 hours. And many foreigners, priests, especially who knew about Fatima and Lourdes, they said, it cannot be Our Lady. She doesn't stay this long. And for us, it's like, no, it has to be Our Lady. If she says she's our mother, this sounds like more like what a mother would do. And literally, she would do as a mother does. She would come and start asking the children, how is the class? Okay? Okay. She would say, how is the class? How are other students? And she would say, how is mom and dad? How was your vacation? Just like every Rwandan will normally do, ask about everybody else, and then she would go to the message. My son wants you to forgive one another. My son wants you to respect God's commandment. My son died for you. Appreciate what he did for you. Remember, meditate on the rosary. Spend time helping the poor. So she will be the mother who would now teach. And before she leaves, she would ask the children to dance for her. That's what we do in our church. Every single mass in Rwanda, we dance like 5 songs. But very gracious, very nice. And actually one day, Our Lady danced. Because she said, when you praise God with every part of you, praising God is what is in the heart that moves the spirit. If you praising God, it's beautiful to dance for God. So one time she danced, and the child, who was like 17 years old, she said, Mother, you dance like an old woman. Oh, it was beautiful to see how they connected. And then she would say, let me show you how we dance. And actually, Our Lady smiled and listened. And later, she told her, let me teach you how to dance with the heart. She's never harsh. She used to tell us, she said, do not reproach your children. Show them a better way. Show them a better way to do it. But don't reproach them how wrong they are. Because our children have a tender heart. But always show them the best way for sure. And sometimes she will send a little punishment. So she's a mother, she's firm, but she's very much more loving. It was beautiful. One time, the priest who were investigating the apparitions, they told the lady, they said, you talk to her like she's your mother. She's like she's your friend. Remember, she's the queen of heaven and earth. And the child said, Father, I don't think we are talking about the same lady. She said, the lady I see, you can't even stand in front of her without being on your knees. Because that's how glorious. She's heavenly. I used to go to the apparition, and you would hear them say, like, when Our Lady is there, because their heart would be beating. And the sweet mother would tell them, take a deep breath. It kills me to this day. And she would again take a deep breath. And you would hear her say, I just, okay, let me take a deep breath. Because it's too good. She said, you can't even stand in front of her without being on your knees. But she draws you in. Like she's trying so sweetly to make you feel at ease in front of her. With such a motherhood. She said, sometimes she jokes with me. Sometimes she calls me my nickname. Like she tries little things to make me be at ease. She's humble. She's very kind and very merciful. And those are the things that sold my soul. I love Our Lady because I just want to hear the sweetness. I always ask the visionaries, how does she speak? She said, when she speaks, it's like she's breathing, but she's not breathing because you can hear her. But it's like every word she says is like a prayer because it so rings to the heart and said so kindly and so gently. Like her words are so well chosen. And then she's like, but you can hear her very clearly. It takes my breath away just to hear her love for us. And for each one of us, she kept reminding us, I love you, I love you. And she even said, if this country, how bad will it be, God who have allowed me to touch this tiny country, he will rise it again. It will be one day the new Jerusalem, like everywhere she appears. So now, if you see how many conversions, how people from different faith, she said, I am the mother of mankind. You know, I heard a joke, but this is a joke, it's not a message. But it explains a little bit of what I thought I saw about Our Lady. Somebody said how one day Jesus was walking in heaven and he saw many people coming in heaven. And then he went to Peter, a joke, good joke. He went to Peter and he said, Peter, how come there's so many people in heaven? Because there's the one who have the key, St. Peter, the key to the gate of heaven. And then Peter said, my Lord, I'm checking them well, but your mother opened the back door. I love it. You know, that sounds like the mother I know. That sounds like the mother I got to find out in Kibeho. I don't think Our Lady will bring us to heaven dirty, but the way she appears, following all her apparitions, especially in Rwanda, growing up with her, she will teach you how to say the rosary well. She will give you another rosary, 7 Sorrows Rosary. She will teach you how to love and respect our priests, who are the bridges from heaven to us, of the graces of God. She will teach you how to do a good confession, to be humble, to be kind. Like, that is her qualities. She will teach you if you give her your heart sincerely. And she used to say, any child who cried to me, I will get him to heaven. I will get her to heaven because I will work with you. And our Lord also appeared in Rwanda, and he said, whoever my mother prays for, you can be sure she will get her way. First, because I don't deny her anything. Second, because she knows me most. She knows me most. She knows the heart of her Father. She's the one who pleased him more than anyone. So she will lead you there, if only willingly you can accept her to lead you and to love you. She's always there. One time she appeared in a dormitory of the kids where they slept. 2 in the morning. And before she appeared to the visionary, everybody saw her, a big light, miraculous light, walking on every bed. And she went right to the visionary, and the visionary was the only one who can see Our Lady as Our Lady. This is in Kibeho. And then Our Lady said, my children, I wanted to show you that even at night, I watch over you when you are sleeping. And every one of you. And it's so funny because it was my Protestant friend who told me about this. And then I told her, so you must believe that she appeared. She told me, well, no, I'm not sure. I'm like, what do you think that light was? She said, oh, definitely, it was from somewhere. It wasn't the light from the room. It was something. Then why don't you believe it? I was like, I don't know. This is like 30 years ago. This friend is still my best friend. So anytime we talk, she goes like, oh my God, God gave me a miracle and I didn't see it. You know, what they tell us, faith is really a gift. You can see, and you might not even see. Like, she's still waking up to this 30 years later. I'm like, really? You just realized it now? And you're the one who told me about it when we were going to school. But 30 years later, like, oh my God, I saw the light from heaven. And you knew it from before. She knew it, but she just couldn't conceive it. And that's why sometimes people say they will wait until the last moment to reconcile with God. Don't wait. Faith doesn't come just because you say yes in a second, because you kind of waited, by willingly waited. It comes because you say, oh my God, look what was done for me. He died for me. He loves me. I need to change my way. I need to love. That sincere faith that comes, not because the danger is coming, is what we need to get now. And I have gone through that. Those moments when I say, I can't find God. There's a danger. Now, let me have faith before the danger. Let me be strong before the dangers. That's the faith that will sustain me when the danger comes. So we knew about this. Again, I'm glad I shared a little bit about Our Lady because she's everything for me. She's the best thing. And when my brother told me, I remember about Our Lady, what she have told us. And I remember I went out of the room. I met my parents. We were so scared about what was going to happen. Again, because we knew a little bit from the apparitions how bad things can be. Because she said, if we don't listen, and we don't listen to God, to her message, things will be really terrible. But we had the capacity to change if only we had listened to Our Lady. So I met my parents. I remember we were changing the channels that morning just to find out what's going on in the country. About a few hours later, we started to see people coming to my family, asking them what to do. My parents were people who really cared about everybody. I'm so grateful that now I can say this because I've been painful for the longest time just to think I don't have them. But I am grateful I have had them in my life. I am grateful I have had the example. It was a gift to have them in my life. It really teaches me, be grateful for everybody you have. They are a gift, and you don't know how long they will be there. Your wives, your husbands, so, your moms, your dad, your children, they are a gift. You don't know how long they will be there. And start to see the good in them and just appreciate it. So I remember people were coming. At the end of the second day, we had about 10,000 people all around the soccer field where my mom was a teacher. I remember one of the image. I remember of my dad. He came and handed me a rosary. I knew right away. It was almost, that voice you can't say. He spoke loud, but you know in your heart, something was like, there you go, this is it. He's saying goodbye. You will never see him again. He handed me the rosary and asked me to go to hide to a neighbor who was actually completely different than us, from the other tribe, and was a Protestant pastor. But he trusted him. He knew he was a good man. So he asked me to go there. And I didn't want to leave. And I truly left out of obedience to my father. And I remember before I left, he had the same rosary, and he spoke to everybody. It was one of the last images I remember. And as he's speaking to people, having his rosary in the hand, and to people from different faith, he said, if it is a matter of a small group that want to hurt us, we will defeat them. Do not be scared. But if it is a matter of the government that planned this, I cannot lie to you. They will kill us. They block the borders. They have shut down every activity in the country. No schools, no banks. Only thing being done was killing people, family by family. So if it is them, we die. If not, be strong. In any case, do not be scared. Fear is our worst enemy. That's what he said. And then he said, if it is the government then, suppose it is, let's take this as a chance God is giving us to repent our sins so that we can go to heaven. Like, we're supposed to laugh and be happy we're about to die. And I was so scared what people would think of him, telling them, this is our chance. How many people who know they're going to die? We can reconcile with God. People did listen. It's so funny, in those 5 minutes, people were hugging, apologizing to one another, and the people were actually closing their eyes and asking God to forgive them, just in case this must be their last moment. And beside people, and I'm not exaggerating, I feel like how I survived. Beside people who were watching us in the neighborhood, I don't remember one person who is still alive in that group that was there, except me, who was given a chance to leave. So I left, my father came to me, gave me the rosary, and I went to the neighbor. And the neighbor put me to sit in a tiny bathroom, 3 by 4 feet. I remember thinking, this is too small for me. I can't sit here. I mean, 3 days before that, I had a scholarship in college. I was paid to go to school. 3 days before that, I had my own room in my parents' house. We didn't have much, but we never asked for much more, really, more than just to have the health of the parents. They had just enough. And things can change that quickly. I'm in a bathroom, 3 by 4 feet. So as I'm complaining, I can't sit, I can't sleep, I can't stretch my legs. The pastor came back with 5 more women. Later, he came with 2 more women. And we had to fit in 3 by 4 feet. It was another big lesson for me. You know, when things are bad, they can get worse. And it really taught me mostly, it taught me to appreciate, not even to appreciate a situation like that, but not to complain. Just whatever is going on, you can choose to complain about it and keep turning around in a tornado, or you can try to find a way out, even if it is painful. What can I do in the moment? Maybe sit better, maybe somebody sit here, more than, I can't believe this is happening. Yeah, it's happening. So what do we do now? More than, I can't believe who did it. We had to find space for 8 people. I remember the youngest was 7 years old. The elder was 55. Others were my age, teenagers. And we had to sit on top of each other. The man was kind. He put a mattress, so it wasn't so painful to be laying on the ground, on the cement. And he told us that he would tell his children that he lost the key of the bathroom, that nobody knows we're there. This is 4-bedroom house. It's not like a big house. You can think they might not hear you. We had to be absolutely quiet. So he left, and I remember the first time he was able to give us food was like 3 days later. Not that he wanted to do that, but he couldn't come to the bathroom. He had 10 children. They were sitting everywhere in the house. And the food he can give us was the leftovers of his children. They threw in the garbage. I used to be so picky in my family. I gave my mom such a hard time to eat. I couldn't even eat food that was mixed together. I somehow cared how food looks like in my stomach. Now I had to eat food literally people ate and mashed in their mouth and threw in the garbage, and it's now mixed. And I had to close my eyes. And you realize that, yeah, those moments can happen to me, and they can happen. To really just respect and love everybody, because you don't know. At the end of the week, I have had so many emotions. I was angry, anger that you cannot put in this room. You know, there is levels to every emotions. I thought, if I spend another day, I'm going to die this angry. I will think about the anger, and then that bad voice, evil one, will come in me, and I will think about what I can do to revenge my family, and then I will, all of a sudden, my mind will get bigger. My blood will be running faster. My thoughts will be poisonous. I will be a soldier, and then I will, how can I revenge? Put a bomb all over the country and blow up everybody. And the worst thing, when you are angry, it becomes obsessive. It becomes a sickness. You don't think you are done with anger. You do, and then you start again. You go through it again. Oh my God, I'm tired. I'm sweating out of anger. My stomach is aching out of anger. My headache. But somehow there's something feels rewarding. Like, you hate me, I hate you more. As if there's something good. But it felt as if, me too, you know, there's something good here. But it was painful. I kept going through that. And at the end of the week, I remember when he came to give us food, I grabbed his food. I said, you have to put the radio outside. We need to hear what's going on in the country. How long? Because we thought it would be 2-3 days. So now it has been a week. We haven't been able to lay down. It is, or eat normal, shower, brush my teeth. It was just, how long? He was kind. He shushed me quickly so that I don't talk. He went out, put 3 radios, different channels. I couldn't believe what was going on in the country. The leaders of the country, who used to tell us to be good to one another, they were out telling everybody to go out and kill everybody of my tribe. I remember one government minister, he went on radio and said, do not forget the children. A child of a cockroach is a cockroach. And he said, do not forget elder people. We had to cleanse the country. It's a cleansing. I'm like, this is a man who had a PhD. This is a man who was smart. How can he talk that way? It was terrible, but somehow it made me grow a little bit. It made me own my judgment. Somehow I thought people who are in the leadership, who were smart, have PhD, you have to make good decisions. You must be smart in a way that people trust you this much. Until, no, you cannot tell me killing, maybe he may make a mistake about me. I'm older a little bit, but you saying kill children? Those are the enemies? It was, evil had to be so clear for me to realize, oh yes, it is evil. There is no mistake made here. So you have to start now to think for yourself, to hear and then judge what you hear more than grabbing everything because they must know better. You have to have your own judgment. Thus, I started to pray. And I remember they gave order after they killed people who ran to stadiums, to churches. They would go to churches, and we still have a church in Ikibeho where Our Lady appeared. They still have marks over the church. They would go to the church where like 5,000 people run into, just standing, close the door, make holes around the wall, pour gas and pour fire, and burn everybody. And they would be giving prizes to people who killed more people. My anger was just getting even worse, but it was hurting me. And then they gave order to start going home by home to see if anyone was hiding. That was, again, the worst pain I've known, but it was also maybe a gift, best gift that came out of that. So I remember the first time they came to search, which they did many times. I was stretching, and I remember looking through the window of the bathroom. I saw this many people. I thought it was 1,000. People from my village. I still remember like 2-3 faces who were literally friends of my parents. They came inside the house, dressed in banana leaves, had machetes, and started to shout everywhere and searching the whole house. You can imagine, 4-bedroom house, 300-400 people searching. There's no basement, there's no upstairs. It's just flat, 4-bedroom. The only reasonable thing was going through my mind was, it's over. They're going to find us. It's a matter of second. And then I started to think about how I'm going to die. They're going to cut me in pieces. They're going to rape me first. They're going to keep me. They're going to cut my head. How is it going to happen? What am I going to find when my soul comes out of my body? They will not shoot us. Oh, they were torturing you. And for what? Even if you want to get rid of somebody, you torture them. It was pure evil. So in that pain of waiting for them, really, like I said, seconds away, it was almost like 1,000 needles is going through my body. And that is, I'm not dying. I won't wish to die and end, but it's not killing you. Like you are on fire, and fire is not burning you fully. Then I remember I felt like I had two voices over my head, my shoulders. One voice is telling me, voices that sounds reasonable, like you. You know, when you're being reasonable, you're facing a challenge. Give up, don't give up. One voice was telling me, open the door. It's too painful. Why wait? They will find you anyway. Why do you think 4-bedroom, this many people will not find it? So better to open than being found, hiding. You still have pride in that time, really. And I said, yeah, you're right. But there was another nice voice in me. Something was telling me, ask God to help you. Don't open the door. In your human capacity, you might think it's over, but if God wants, if only God wants, even if they open the door, they might not see you. Remember the story of Daniel in the den of lions? God can do all things. So you have every interest of putting your trust in him. And the more I can think about that, even if it was really short, I can feel life coming out in my body again. I can feel alive again. But that voice now, like he's listening to the other voice, changed the speech. Oh, there's no God. Why do you think this is happening? You know how many children dying? Why do you think God will listen to you if he was there? But there is no God. And sometimes all you need is a confusion, a moment of doubts when you have not strengthened your faith from the beginning for the devil to win. And that tiny unbelief, I can open the door and it's over. But I remember the nicer voice in me said, before you lose your faith, before you give up all your heart, ask God to give you a sign that he's there or he's not. But if you find a sign, promise him you will never doubt again. You will never go through this. You are only human. You might never understand everything about God. That's why we keep learning. But at least you can decide and be sure, yes, I know he's there, and nothing is going to move me, no matter what happened. And I remember, definitely, that was good. I turned to the nice voice, and I asked God, with every cell of my body, I asked God, if there is somebody who created me, if there is somebody who put together all this, the earth I'm sitting on, the sky, the moon, the stars, the sun, I am begging you, if you can hear me, can you just give me a sign that you are there, that I can talk to you? Like in moments like this, all the things you said in the Bible are real. Can you just give me a sign? And something in me said, ask for a specific sign. You know how sometimes we ask for signs and the signs comes and then we start to say, oh no, it was my uncle. Or it was my friend. Because God used your uncle. And you got the job you wanted. Or you got a healing you wanted, he used a doctor. But you were praying for healing. And God used all that. Then you give credit to that. The danger in that I have found is that we don't go through problems one time. So the devil likes that you can give credit to another human being. Because when you go through another problem, what do you do now? Maybe that human being will not be there. But if you put your trust in God, you have learned to appreciate him, he will be there again. Because he's everywhere. That's the good thing about God. He goes with you everywhere. So you can ask him. So, and I remember after I asked that prayer, I asked something specific. I asked God, if you can hear me, don't let the killers open the door of the bathroom. Yes, with God, all things are possible. They might open, they might see me, not even see me. They might try to kill me, and machete will not go through. If God wants, because that's what God Almighty means. If only we can believe that. So don't let them open the door. I don't want to see their faces. That was my sign. That was me, what I wanted. After that, I think I fainted. I didn't hear anything. Until about 5 hours later, the man who was hiding us came and opened the door. I remember I jumped. I couldn't speak with other ladies, never spoke to them, never knew what was going through their mind. But they were frozen as I was. And I remember I jumped and I'm like, I thought it was the killers. But he said, no, they left a long time ago. We had to breathe now. And he told us what happened. He said there were 300 to 400 people from my village, people I can call friends. They came and a big number made a circle around the house to make sure no one jumps out of the window. Another number went inside the house in every room, under the beds, opened the closets to make sure no one is there. They went in the ceiling of the house with flashlights to make sure no one is hiding in any corner. They went on the roof of the house to make sure no one on the top there. And every day they found people in those kind of places. They even opened suitcases to make sure there was no babies hiding. At last, he said they came right to the door of the bathroom. The man said, I was shaking, I was sweating. They could have looked in my face. They would have known. But he said, one of the killers touched the handle, and then he said, you know what? We trust you. You cannot hide these bad people. What we didn't find anywhere, there's nothing here. I don't know if they thought that door was going outside, or if I don't know what they thought. But what they said, they trusted him, and the killer turned around and left. The shocking part was not, oh, we are saved. What shocked me, as if God wanted me to just feel that really intensely, was, oh my God, God is real. God heard me in the bathroom, not even in the church. And then I started to think, oh my God, I didn't even talk. I only taught inside. So what our priests tell us, that God is everywhere inside of us, he can actually hear us. And it was like a shock, but yet I knew. I received the first communion. I was baptized. I was confirmed. How did I not know God was everywhere? And yet I think I knew. In my family, there's no one night I remember we ever went to sleep without praying together as a family. I still try to accomplish that in my family, and I can't succeed. There's always a day when somebody's not there, or I'm not there, they don't pray. Together. I'm sure everyone is praying, but together. Every single night we did that together. How my family was able to do that, I really praise God. So anyway, so they left, and oh my God, you are here. So I asked the man to give me the Bible. I wanted to know more about God. Who is this God? I almost lost faith into. Now I had the rosary. My whole belief came back. Now I need to talk to God. But there was a little bit a scary something. To realize that God hears me, and he's now for sure everywhere, it was a little bit scary. Because he can hear my prayers, he can also hear my thoughts. And he sees everywhere. And we have no privacy. That was something I had to get used to. And then I would tell him, well, okay, I hope, you know I'm angry, right? Because now I know he's looking. But I have a good reason to be angry. Like he doesn't know what I'm trying to justify. But I will talk to God like I'm talking to you. But I remember when they gave me the Bible, one thing I remember especially, every page I opened, it seemed to say, love your enemies. And I will close the page because my enemies were really bad. And then I would open another page. It seemed like what was jumping to me was, pray for those who persecute you. I'm like, God, mine are really terrible. Close the page. Then I will open another page. Forgive how many times? 777 times. I can't even forgive once. Now you ask me to multiply this many times. One time I had to close the Bible because it's too much about forgiveness and loving my enemies. I couldn't do that. And I really thought God understands me. So I took the rosary my father gave me. And I said, okay, let me now pray. I know for sure now Our Lady was appearing. My whole faith came back. And I started to say the rosary. The first time I say the rosary, it takes like, for those who don't know about it, like 20 minutes. It was like I moved from hell to a place of air. For the first time in this bathroom, I can think of something else that is consistent, and you have to say these words and these words for 20 minutes without thinking of my anger and my fear. Those were the things that were killing me. I'm like, this feels good. When I stopped praying, the bad voice was back. They will kill you. Yes, they missed you last time, but I'm like, let me say the rosary again. I don't want to hear that because I had peace for the first time. I ended up saying the rosary all day from morning until night. Literally, I remember one time I counted how many rosaries were getting me to the evening. I had 27 rosaries every day. And I will add Divine Mercy Chaplet, 40 Divine Mercy Chaplets, so that it took me from 6 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. I had all my time. So all I did was to pray. So as I'm going through that, the good God, He's gentle. He knows how to direct us. I was appreciating every part of the rosary, another part. And then this part came that changed everything. I remember after I got used to pray, the bad voice started to torture me when I would not pray with my whole heart, with the same excitement, with passion. And I would say, Hail Mary, full of grace. Yes, I will kill them too, and then I can't believe. And then they will find you, our Father who are in heaven, but maybe your mom is not anymore. I'm like, what is, yeah, I know. Sometimes we still do that, right? You're cooking and you're praying the rosary, and there you know everything you're going to cook for the night. You're going through it. No, that's the time we need to bring back ourselves. Like, hey, pray with the heart. Be here. Be present. Like, don't get there and stay there. So, but mine was painful, and that's what God did for me to get back. I couldn't take it. My fear again, my anger again. What am I going to do? Now the devil can find a way to speak to me, even when I'm praying. So I had a better idea. I said, let me pray with all my heart. Then if I do, that voice will not find a way. Maybe that's the inspiration of the angel of Our Lady. Then I remember starting, especially again about this part, with everything but this part. I remember starting Our Lord's Prayer, which is a part of the rosary. You say like 5 Our Lord's Prayer in one rosary. Imagine saying it 27 times. So, and I started, Our Father, who art in heaven. I'm saying, wait a minute. I'm trying to mean it. I just said, Our Father. If I mean that, it would mean the Father of everybody. But my Father, He cannot be the father of the killers. No. I don't want to accept it. There is something said, well, think about it. Your dad has 3 boys and 1 girl. What if one boy does something wrong? Does your father stop being their father? Actually, he worries more about the bad one more than to the good one. And he will think about them. I'm like, you're right. I mean, this was a time when I said, I'm not going to hold on to myself. I want to understand faith and embrace it. If I understood, it wasn't that, okay, now I don't want to believe because. Explain to me. How can He be the Father of the bad and the good? Our Father of everybody? When I got that, that's when I say, you're right. Yeah, my brothers will not stop being the sons of my dad if they do wrong. Okay, fine, I can take that. The Father of the good and the bad, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. And then I remember going through that place. Forgive us as we forgive those who trespass against us. That is a long statement. I'm the one saying, forgive me as I forgive. I'm like, no, I cannot say that. I can't mean it. Even if I try, I cannot mean it. Forgive me as I forgive? No. You know what Our Lady used to tell us? Again, like I said, I just love her gentle and sweet guidance to love God and to love her too, as our mother. She used to say, my children, pray with sincerity. You know, it's louder to tell God I am angry than, oh, I don't want to think about it. Louder to tell him, I know you don't want, but I don't know how to do that, so help me. Pray with sincerity, she would say. And then the sweet mother would say, if you don't have sincerity, pray for sincerity. I know. And then she would say, pray with love, my children. But if you don't have love, pray for love. I'm like, we just have everything. It's ours to have the humility to just ask. So I'm going through this part. I'm like, no, I can't. The good God I just found out, I cannot lie to him. First, he knows my heart. He sees what is there. So if I lie to him, he knows I lied to him. And if I lie to him, how do you tell him, protect me, but I will lie to you? That's not a friendship. How do you ask, but I don't want to give? At least to be sincere. So I had a better idea. I started to skip that part of the prayer. And let me tell you, it worked. I felt so much better. Now I can stand in front of God. I'm like, we are in good terms. I'm not lying to you. Again, the good, gentle God. I kept praying. This is no kidding. This was my world. Remember, I was in that bathroom for 3 months. The only person I spoke to was God. So this was like my tears, my laughs was with God. That's all, through the rosary. So I kept skipping that part, thinking now I'm okay. And again, he let me be until one day I was about to skip it. I felt like something was nodding my shoulders and reminding me, hey, I hope you know our Lord's Prayer is not man-made. It's Jesus, the one you believe he's God, the one you just professed he cannot make a mistake, who gave those words. If I were you, I wouldn't try to edit his prayer. Bittersweet. I was really, now I'm like, oh my God, why did I think about this? But of course, I don't want to let it go. But how can I tell God I'm being sincere to you when I know the truth and I'm ignoring it? It's him. If Jesus made me, he knows me better, more than I know myself. He's my God. And if he said pray this way, he must know it's possible because he knows me. Otherwise, he would not have told me, pray this way. He would have said, well, some cases is really bad. You might not be able to pray this way. But he said, pray this way. If he made me, he knows me better, why would I say it's impossible? Because that's where I was standing. My case is impossible. It's too bad. For the first time in my life, I understood the meaning of surrendering. I went on my knees. I don't even know if I had a place to kneel, but this is how it felt like. Put my hands up, and I begged God, I need you, that for sure. I can not live one more second without you. And I know you want me to forgive. If you say so, let it be so. And that's what it is. But I don't know how. Even if I tried, I don't know how. And now I'm asking you, since you are God, if I can trust you that you can protect me in this bathroom, why can't I trust you to help my heart forgive? Let me give it to you. And I put it in his hands, but sincerely. I knew if God would give me a chance to understand, to feel any normalcy about forgiving somebody who's trying to look for me, who killed my mom, who maybe killed my father already, if he can make a way to make it sounds okay, I can forgive, I will. But how? Give it to me. Jesus was like, give it to me. You're only human. Hand it to me. The same way you're asking me every other impossibilities, why don't you dare to give this to me? But willingly. I ask God, and from there I put back the prayer, and whenever we reach that part, I will not anymore say, I have a good reason, but I will tell him, I'm not lying to you. I hate them. I don't know how to forgive them. But with you, all things are possible. I kept praying, it felt like already I had like a stone out of my shoulders. A stone I was holding on like, no, I can't, I know I'm right. Now it's simple, but I'm still there. I haven't forgiven them. Until one day, again, be careful of what you pray for. A moment came. I remember I was meditating on the cross when Jesus was dying. And I remember when he said his last words. I was there. Forget about movies and pictures. I was on the cross. I thought about him in the morning when they caught him. He didn't eat. He must have been hungry all day. They must have beaten him. He fell down. He had maybe stones and dust in the wound. It's just like this bad image from the Bible. He's crying. His mother is there. It was all painful. And the more I see his pain, the more mine was like, I'm still in the bathroom. I'm not on the cross. The more it became real, my pain was like less. And I remember when he said, forgive them, Father. I was watching every word he said. He's forgiving somebody, the thief on the cross. Wow, this is nice. But when he said to his killers, he's the ones who were hurting him, not the thief who stole some people. You can be nice to that person. But the ones who were torturing him, when he said, forgive them, Father, they don't know what they do. I don't know what happened to me in that moment. I have thought about that before, but that moment was like, unlike any other moment, something opened in my heart. It wasn't the first part, forgive them. It was the second. They don't know what they do. It was like I was waiting for an answer. Yes, I want to, but how? They don't get it. And you trying to be like them does not change one thing. You hate what they do. You don't want to be like them. And yet you're planning to be like them. How did they sell you to become that kind of person? They don't know what they do. Pray for them. Protect yourself. Protect who you can from this evil that have overtaken them. Don't be like them. Forgive them. They are lost. Somehow in that moment, it was like a huge luggage was lifted from my shoulders. You're right. They don't get them. Think about when somebody's a rapist and then you want to be like them. Yeah, rape them too. Oh, how does it make sense? They were killing me, but I hated them. Everybody who come from that tribe, I hated them too. I hated children who were not even born yet. And yet I hate what they're doing. That's not what you do to bring justice or to change situation. I was wrong. It was in that moment I also saw it. How did I end up like them? Those who were hurting. It was almost like the world was divided in two parts in that moment. A part of love and a part of hate. On a part of love, where people like Mandela, people like Mother Teresa, Saint Francis, the saints, good people like you, in peace. On a side of hate, well, people like Hitler, people like those who were killing and promoting killings in the country. And I felt like Jesus was showing me, watch what Mother Teresa does, what the good people on this side does. No matter how much they have suffered, they defend peace, they defend love. They are the ones who spend their life trying actually to convince people here on the side of hate to change and come here. And they do happen. People do change actually. Thanks to these who have suffered, those who are hateful, they find light and move to this side because he forgives. And when I saw it that kind of way, of course I wanted to stand with Mother Teresa. These are the people I admire. These are the people who have done good. And we can all agree, even if we might be angry with somebody, but we love those who are forgiven. Saint Jean Paul II, our past pope, who forgave the one who shot him. We admire that. Why is it that we want to be like a bad guy, not like him? I wanted to be with him, where he's standing, in that kind of forgiveness. When I felt that, I knew my heart was free. I knew maybe for the rest of my life, I would always pray for those who were killing us. I knew if one killer changed his mind, then there's more peace. Not when there's more killers. When a killer changes his mind, it was like the best that happened right there. It was almost like I was floating in that bathroom. I was happy. That obsession was gone about I will do. It was gone. Now I felt like God was asking me, what are you going to do now? Well, how are you going to use your life? And I started to think, I wrote this in my book, Left to Tell. I felt I need to learn English. Because in a case, I meet people speak English, and maybe it is them who will save me. The girls in the bathroom thought I was going crazy, because I asked the man who was hiding us to give me a book in English and a dictionary. So I had to learn it silently, but reading one word per word, and trying to put phrases together. And this is really weird. All the phrases, I imagine myself, somebody would ask me, what's your name? Like memorizing everything. Where do you come from? Where did you go to school? Every single question I imagine somebody would ask me. 3 months later, I found myself in Office of United Nations being interviewed in English. And every single question they ask me, I have rehearsed it in the bathroom. Then I remember thinking, what is going on? I know this question. I know this question too. Every single question they ask me, I have went through it. I have memorized the answer in English. And I did get the job through that. I truly believe when the anger is gone, or these bad things we hold inside, it's like the future is, the veil is unveiled. Somehow, without showing everything, but God works with you and you realize, I knew this is it. Before we came out of the bathroom, this was about 3 months later now, still in the bathroom, not sure when we would come out. I remember I had a dream about our Lord. I had many that really kind of consoled me throughout. There's a time I dreamt about him, Jesus, that he was helping me to put his cross on the door of the bathroom. In the dream, which was like a vision, you know, when you're sleeping for like 2 seconds, and then you had this dream, and then you wake up. And he said, I promise you, I can hear your prayers. They will not cross the door. You keep reminding me that you trust me. Now you need to trust me. Truly do. And I put the door, he put the cross. I'm like, okay, fine, good. And I woke up, I'm like, oh my God, there's no cross. But I can still feel in my heart that the cross was there. I can still see it in my heart. So another dream I had, I remember before I came out, Jesus in my heart, in a dream, he said, my child, when you come out, you will find out that everyone in your family, those you left behind, because I still had a brother who was outside of the country, those you left behind, you will find out everyone is killed. In a dream, he said, but if you continue to love me and to trust me, those two things, he didn't even talk about forgiveness, which later you realize you can't really love God if you can't forgive. You can't say you trust God if you can't trust his words to forgive. He said, if you continue to trust me and to love me, I will be there for you, and I will do for you more than what your parents could have been able to do for you. And I remember in the dream I said, if you can take care of me, who else do I need? And when I woke up, I convinced myself it was a dream. How can I say that? First, I can't die. How can that happen? In my heart, again, this is my world. But the very first time we came out, first night, I found out it was not just a dream. Actually, everyone I left behind was killed. My mom was killed. My dad, my 2 brothers, my grandma, my grandpa, my neighbors, my schoolmates, my best friends. It was like end of the world. Everything we owned was destroyed. It was those things you thought, it cannot be happening. I'm having a nightmare. You lose one person, not everybody. You lose people, but not the houses, not the pictures, not everything. It can't be. And slowly, I would sometimes cry and want to die. And I would feel like as if God was holding my chest and reminding me, don't cry, don't crash, don't die. I am with you. Pick up your rosary, find a church, go to Mass. Remember, more than many, now you know heaven is for sure. And I am here. And the journey of your loved ones is over here on earth, but not in heaven. And your journey is not over yet. And you don't know how long it will be. And that is the truth. No one of us knows that we even have one more day to live, even if we take it for granted. And sometimes we choose not to think about it. But it will be beneficial to think about it. I felt like God was telling me, your life might be one more day, one more hour, 1 year, maybe 50 years, 60 years. But whatever that is, it's only me who knows. And life is your gift. And it is up to you how you choose to use it. Because that's how we'll be judged, what we have done, how we have used our life. And I felt like God was saying, you can either choose to love or to hate during your life. Choose to be kind or to be mean. Choose to uplift or put down. Do something kind, like put this together, or do nothing. But if you choose love, if you choose kind, if you choose uplifting, remember, whatever you need, I am with you. Ask me, I will give it to you. Whatever you need on the way, I'm God Almighty. I have come to trust that voice, again, like never spoke loud. You know, it's like how He speaks to all of us in moments especially like that. But I will literally come out from hearing that in my heart and then start to go around the refugee camp and look for somebody I can help. Because I knew that what matters most. If I die today, at least I will die after doing something kind. And sometimes in the refugee camp, people didn't have arms. I remember there was like a woman who have lost like 10 children. Her husband lost everything. She doesn't remember what day it is. The pain is too great. And I felt like God was saying, just sit there. Let her tell you whatever she wants. Make sense or not. Just be there. Be an image of somebody she can say she's listening. And I would sit there. She'd say whatever she wanted. And whenever she feels like she's done, then I left. And I felt like that's all God was asking me to do. There was like a child who had an open wound. And I felt like God was saying, show that child love. You don't have food to give her. You don't have a bed. We're sleeping on the ground. But just show him love. And sometimes showing love to that child was just touch the wound. How is it? Ask them how they feel. Put your hands over their shoulder. Remove the dust over their clothes. That's enough just for today. And whatever God gives for tomorrow, you can show more kindness in another way. But every evening, I will say my rosary, sleeping on the ground, literally on the dirt and stones, and look on the sky and say, if you take me tonight, I hope I have tried. I hope I have done something good, something kind to somebody who needed it. And that's, to me, how I chose to live my life. I don't succeed all the time. I'm Catholic. I go to confession every 2 weeks. No matter how much I try to do good, there's always something I could have done better. And I accept that, okay, I'm still here. But I still remember when I come out of the bathroom, I remember thinking, God, I just missed a chance to be a saint. Because how else will I have a whole day to say the rosary from morning until night? When again will I have the time to be forgiving everybody because I just want to appeal to God? And really in that confined place where there's no temptation other than what is coming from inside. But of course, the good God, we continue to pray whatever his decision. I don't think of myself as more fortunate than those who died. I really feel that they died as martyrs. If you read about my brother Damascene, he died telling his killers. He said, I know where I'm going, but what about you? A 25 years old boy telling his killers, okay, come and kill me, but you're going to face the justice of God. Are we going to have a moment to die like that? Where we can die saying, we defended faith until we died. We tried to convert another person, even when they were killing us. And sometimes people ask me, well, what about them? As if they were unfortunate. Like I said, no, I definitely think paradise is better. Heaven, this is purgatory on earth. And as you know, I'm sure everyone has something to face in life. And my suffering is not over. I still go through life every day. I go through challenges as you. And I have to forgive again and again. I'm presented maybe every day for another occasion to forgive. One thing for sure I can never say, I can never go to God and say, I have a good reason to hate. No matter what betrayal I might go through, I go on my knees and say, if you help me then, I know you can help me now. I went through that. And that's my prayer for each one of us. And as I share, faith is very important to me. In 1998, I wrote the whole journey in my books. I wrote about Our Lady. I wrote about the sequel of Left to Tell, led by faith. When you go through something like this, it doesn't get over like it's a movie. Now you have to crawl. Now you have to think about, how do you live without asking your mom for advice? And I had to ask God for my whole life. When dad is not there, what do? You go to Jesus. And there were many temptations. You are now a young woman, people are handing gifts, and everything I have to look at and say, which heart is coming from? Even if I need food, but I'm not taking that. Even if I would like money, but I'm not taking that. Because I don't think God, only him you can look at and say, what will he do now? What will he want me to do? My father who's watching, would he like me to take this ride in that car? I'm not taking it. I don't think Our Lady will like it. And that's how I wrote Led by Faith, because I wanted to share experiences where a faith, again, I have to choose it again and again so that it can be the road that leads me to live this life. And in 1998, I moved here to United States. In 2006, that's when I published my first book, which was a huge, many obstacle. But again, I felt like God was saying, remember the power of this prayer, especially of the rosary. And this is something I continue to share around the world. And I want to share especially this rosary, actually. But before that, we have a few minutes. Yeah. Since I started to speak, if there is one thing that makes me happier than anything, is to be able to encourage another person to love God. It's really all that is there. It's not about my ordeal, my horrible experience. It's about just hoping you can get closer to God. So I have a CD, a friend of mine, a Protestant actually, who asked me to put together of the rosary. It's one of my best prayers. You can imagine, it led me throughout the whole genocide. So my friend, her brother was about to be deported from the country. And then she called me. She said, do you think the rosary can work for me too? Because Our Lady said, if you pray the rosary from the heart, all things are possible. She will help you. I told her, of course. Don't let us Catholics steal this blessing from you guys. When we say the rosary together, and the next morning she told me, she said the rosary all night. And she called me the next day again, that day, after they saw the judge. She said, Immaculée, you will not believe what happened. It was like the judge all of a sudden became our best friend and gave the papers to my brother. And to this day, this girl is still saying the rosary. She's the one who told me, put it together. You will see. I will give it to my Protestant friends, and they will love it. The rosary is really the Bible. So if there's anything I wish any human being to get close to that will guide you to love God so sweetly, is the rosary, especially if you meditate on it well. So I put meditation. One CD actually is a talk about the rosary. So, and I gave my friend, to this day she still said the rosary, and she's still Protestant. But is anyone here who is not Catholic, who will like, can I give you this? Okay, good. God bless you. My friend will be happy. Yes. Another thing I want to share, this is really important, is a 7 Sorrows Rosary. Is a rosary, I know, 2 minutes? I know. Okay. 2 minutes. Okay. This 7 Sorrows Rosary, it has 7 Hail Marys. Our Lady told us in Kibeho to help her to spread it. All of us, not just me. She will tell the visionary, 50,000 people who were there and say, my children, help me to spread it. 7 Sorrows Rosary. She taught it to the visionary. So, and I said, okay, I will help you. I have seen miracles happening through this, and I know, however, if you say it, please say, but also include your family or do a prayer group. It has 7 sorrows. It's beautiful, and I already promised many things also through this prayer. And 3 miracles happen a lot through this. 1, people who heal from cancer, and I wish everyone can touch it and just heal, but it's really between you and God and your faith. But if Our Lady promised, like our Lord said in the Bible, ask, it shall be given. Knock the door will be open. If she promised, then believe her. Another big miracle that happened, and I have seen maybe 4 people who healed from pancreatic cancer when it was said it was impossible, through this devotion to the 7 Sorrows Rosary. Another big miracle are people who try to have babies, who have tried for like 10 years. These, I have maybe 35 cases of people who tried 10 years, 7 years, and through this devotion, I already give them these gifts. Another big miracle are people who heal from addictions. Again, all this, Our Lady have said, it's a gift for our time. And she said she will do more miracles than ever she did before, the 7 Sorrows Rosary. And I hear people who also find jobs, so I really encourage you. These are actually come from Rwanda. These beads, they grow in Rwanda. They're called job tears. And I continue to get them there so that it helps women, especially in Rwanda, who are making them. So anyone who is having, I have booklets for that. Anyone who knows somebody who is struggling with a sickness, yeah, may I? Oh, God bless you. Can I give this to you? God bless you. Oh, God bless you. I'll pray for you. And before I end, I want to thank you so much for inviting me, for having me. And I want to remind you, I know we all go through our troubles. We all go through our obstacles in life. And please, I know I can be speaking to a group like this, but truly we are all individuals. But no matter what happens to you, no matter what you might be going through, please remember there is always hope. Hold on to God. And lastly, and I have gone to the prison. I met somebody who killed my family, and I offered them forgiveness. If I can forgive, anyone can forgive. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. And we continue.